Hey guys, Scott Fishman here. And on the eve of a huge match on NXT, we thought who better to bring in just ahead of the big Heritage Cup match, Von Wagner going against Noam Dar. The man that has been with Von Wagner through this whole journey. Robert Stone, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. And I'm just happy that you actually want to interview me because the past week, ever since my 7-year-old twins have been on TV, anyone that's talking to me is pretty much only asking me about them. So I'm like, hey, at least finally someone still remembers me. They're like the coolest kids in their school. People are like, hey, you did a good job, but your twins, they're great. Can I talk to them?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, I couldn't get in touch with their agent soon enough,
It,
so you're gonna have
they
to do it, I
they already
guess.
fired me. They fired me. They got their own. So
But well, you touched on it. I mean, how has this week been? I mean, we've seen them here and there over the course of the years. Growing up, you've been very public of showing them, which has been amazing to see. But getting to see them this role has been really fun.
Well, I try to think back and say, okay, when I was 7 years old, and my older brother loved wrestling, so at seven, I was like obsessed with professional wrestling. If I could have been on TV and walked into school and showed all my friends myself on TV, how cool that would have been. And I think they're going through that now. They've already been on twice in the past, like what, 2 months. And it's just like the coolest thing. The parents watch, their teachers know. So it's a lot of fun for them. I'm happy for them.
Who had that idea to feature them? Was it Sean
Um,
or?
well, when you meet them, I think you kind of just say like these kids should probably be on TV. They're pretty wild. But no, it was yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know which person exactly in charge said, "Hey, it's a cool idea to bring them on to TV." But I think everybody was on board right when they heard it because why not, right? I mean, you never don't like something that cute little children are involved in.
I mean, I'm worried. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I see the graphic. They're actually on the graphic. People haven't seen yet, which is great. I love the little what they're wearing. But so, can we expect to see them on the show? Are they going to be walking to
um,
the ring or?
You know what? This is such a big match for them. They're rooting for Vaughn so much. They helped him train. They call themselves, his coaches. They'll be watching, at least from the audience. They'll be watching in some way, shape, or form. As long as the match isn't on too late and it's not past their bedtime. I think my wife will let it happen.
Um, as far as you've been a part of NXT now since 2019, I believe. Talk about just about the atmosphere. What it is? It seems like WWE in general over the course with the Royal Rumble, it seems like a very family atmosphere. I think a lot of the guys and girls talked about it throughout the weekend. But from your vantage point, you've been a veteran for so long. Just kind of give me an idea of what it's been like for you and seeing the
Yeah,
changes that we've seen.
well, I will say it's crazy when you say 2019 because it doesn't seem that long ago, but it really was. There's been so many changes in NXT since that time, and I'm actually probably one of the longest reigning people in the locker room still in NXT from that time. That is, still in NXT, which is crazy when you think about it. But yeah, went from NXT black and gold to 2.0, now back to kind of black and gold. And it is everybody, you train together. We do the weekend, shows together. We're the PLEs on the road together. It's a very tight locker room. Everybody sees each other all the time. Everybody's rooting for one another. Everybody works together at TV to make the best possible product, which I think is coming out now because NXT is hotter than ever. And it's just a cool thing to be a part of because you know me, I've been around so long where a lot of locker rooms haven't been like that. They're very cutthroat and everyone's out for themselves. And it's just not like that here. And it shouldn't be any other way. So it's a great thing to be a part of. It really is.
What are your thoughts on the CW, the NXT going to CW next year?
I mean, hey, change is always great. CW is a great network. I mean, my kids, my friends, my family, they know what it is. So it's a popular network that a lot of shows are on that people watch. I think it'll help even make NXT bigger than it is. And I believe they signed for a heck of a chunk of change, which is always a great thing too. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And you talked about being in the industry for so long. For you, starting in 2019, and I'm not sure what kind of idea you had set for yourself as far as a journey is concerned. You've been kind of more of the mouthpiece manager sort of thing when you kind of had a wrestling career prior to this pretty frequently. We haven't seen much of you in the wrestling realm recently. So talk about just your mindset when it comes to that sort of thing. And were you ever worried about, when you're in this kind of role, like, are you more susceptible to releases and things like that?
So again, so I started wrestling in 2000. So by the time 2019 came around, my body's beat up. I've been doing this for a long time. So when it got offered to me to ask if, if I was interested in doing this kind of role where I'm not wrestling as much, more of a manager, I was the right guy to come to. I feel like, to still be able to be an on-air character and not have to do all the physical stuff as often, I'm your perfect guy for that because as you get older, I mean, my body, it's hard to handle it. Wrestling, as they say, it's not ballet. So I was pretty beat up. So it's been nice to still get to do that. And it was cool to try and do something different. I always like learning different things. Like, I've commentated on Level Up a few times. I'm learning commentary. Now I'm helping a little bit produce and coach matches. So I'm always down to try and learn something different. So I wanted to take this head on. And, I've always been a fan of, Bobby the Brain Heenan and Jimmy Hart, and to kind of try and be a new age version of that has been fun. And also, you talk about, comparing that to, the possibility of release and those kind of things. I feel like it's, there's not as many managers. So I'm kind of one of a kind. There's less of me. And, I'd like to think I do my job really well. I'm a confident guy and I don't think about that stuff. My mindset stays in the positive. So I now that you bring it up to me, I'm like, oh God, I guess that could happen. But I'm more of a, no, I don't really think of that. I'm more of like a positive mindset. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good spot, and I'm certainly enjoying my spot. I've learned a lot doing it, and I can't wait to do more with it.
Yeah, and when you're wearing so many hats, it makes you even more valuable than, if you were just wrestling and things like that. So you bring a lot of knowledge, and I think having that presence in the locker room, besides Vaughn, is there anyone else that you kind of been working with that you're kind of really proud to see how far they've come?
Well, I mean, hey, when I first debuted on TV, me and Chelsea were together, and it was very short lived. We actually were in the 2020 Royal Rumble. Um, and God, it was probably 3 or 4 months that we worked together, but those 3 or 4 months we really bonded, and we still have a connection, and we're still pretty close. So I'm obviously excited for her and super happy with how great she's shining right now. So definitely her. And then no, I mean, I'm focused on Vaughn. You got to remember, it's the spot me and Vaughn are in right now. Vaughn is a big guy. I'm a guy in a suit with a ponytail that some would say, have these perfect kids and fit. We're in a position where it's kind of hard to like me and hard to like Vaughn. Like, why would you like me? I'm wearing a suit. I'm kind of good looking. I got, the perfect family. That's the kind of thing that a lot of people would not like. So we're kind of going against adversity of people trying to find a reason to actually like us. And I think we've done a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, I love the vignettes that you guys talk about producing those and just really getting to know his story and really bringing it out. Because I think, his career as a generation talent. But beyond that, I would have not no idea of what he's been through. And I think that really has made massive steps to people really kind of connecting to him. So that's kind of been a big thing. So how has it been kind of getting to come out of his shell?
Well, I think it's been the best thing for him. And like you said, I mean, I think people saw him. They said, this is a big guy, a monster. He screams. He's like everybody else. Like, why should we like this guy or even be interested in him? Does he even deserve to be here kind of thing without knowing anything? So yeah, he had that whole story about his head. I don't even know if I'm going to attempt to try and say what it's called because it's a long word that's hard for me to pronounce. But when he was born, where he had to have multiple surgeries on his head, so he had to battle through all that, which in itself just shows you, wow, this guy's been through a lot. That's a reason to like him. But also, they don't know that he's a second generation wrestler. They don't know that he was this, amazing athlete in college, D1 football player at UCF. They don't know that he was a 3-sport athlete in high school. And they don't know how much he actually genuinely cares about this industry. He grew up in it. His dad wrestled, his dad traveled. And he really, he absorbs, he wants to learn, he's regularly training, he's regularly in the gym. He's not just a guy that's going through the motions. He wants to keep getting better. He is continuously getting better with every match he's out there. And I think he's got a bright future. And I think now people are starting to get that.
Hmm. One thing I wanted to kind of get your insight on is over the weekend we had Jordan Grace, who wrestled from TNA, coming in, breaking through the Forbidden Door. You were part of that company for a long time. It doesn't get kind of a lot of the flowers all the time that it should. When you think about all the names that have come through here, I mean, we have Nick Aldis, who now is the general manager of SmackDown. We've seen him from there, and AJ Styles and so many other, including yourself. How is it for you to kind of see WWE working with TNA and kind of branching out with other companies and kind of we're seeing that a little bit more?
I think it's great. I mean, it's not what this the second time now, because was it 2 years ago that Mickey James was in the Royal Rumble?
Yep,
So it's the second time now. It's cool. Hey, the Royal Rumble, obviously, we all know the fun thing about it is always the surprises, who's going to be out in each one. But to see someone again from another company, it gives you that like wow factor for a second. So now it's just, I think everyone's on their toes at the edge of their seat saying anything could happen. And whether it's NXT, Raw, or SmackDown, anybody could show up at any time. Working together with TNA, I think is, again, it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for the fans. Like, why not, right? And it was cool to see. I mean, did you enjoy it? I did.
of course. Yeah, wrestling fan seeing unpredictability is awesome. Definitely.
Exactly. Where do you get that anymore these days?
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to, I love what without you is, in addition to all the wrestling stuff, you also have a business. You're growing your businesses with your wife. Talk a little bit about that and having that in Orlando, and maybe some of the guys that have kind of come through these gyms that you guys own.
So F45, it's have you ever heard of it? It's like it was originally created in New Zealand. They're worldwide. Mark Wahlberg's like a big ambassador for them. But my wife was actually just a member. She's always been in fitness her whole life on the corporate side. And she was a member of an F45 when we lived in New Jersey. She fell in love with it. And then when we moved here to Orlando, she was like, let's open one. And now one have turned into four. They're
Wow.
all doing well. Business is booming. They're great workouts. I regularly do it. And yeah, I mean, throughout the few years we've been open now, a handful of wrestlers have passed by and done the workout, and most of them want to throw up at the end of it because it is an intense. No matter who you are, when you walk in for the first time, is an intense 45 minutes. You live locally. You're very welcome to come in and
I
do
was
a
gonna
workout
say,
whenever you
I knew
want.
that was. We might
Just
have to
let
do
me
a
know, and we'll
follow-up
do it with
video.
you. We'll film it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Come on, you got to name some names. You mentioned who stepped through some of the wrestlers
Oh, I mean, so yeah, I mean, well, Vaughn's done it with me.
Nice.
Speaking of Chelsea, Chelsea's done it. Um, Lash Legend is a member. Isla Dawn's a member. I'm trying to think of some others off the top of my head. I mean, Cameron
Nice.
Grimes has done it. Joaquin Wild, a handful of the people in NXT have at least tried it once.
Got it. As we close, we're a lot of exciting things are happening with NXT, a lot more travel. Um, you're used to the travel. I mean, a lot of the ones aren't. I mean, is there anything that you kind of give advice about when it comes to that sort of thing? As because going from NXT to, a Raw or SmackDown, I think the biggest transition part of that is the travel. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, if you're traveling in NXT now to a PLE, you're flying together, you're on a group tour bus together, so you're not really getting that aspect of this industry. So yeah, it's definitely a change if you move up to Raw or SmackDown. I think it's just, if you want to know my opinion on the best thing to keep in mind is just to be frugal. You got to just, control your money. You don't need to stay in the $400 hotels. You could stay in, the 79.99 hotels and maybe split it with a few guys. That's me because I come from a little older school where it was regular to do that. And just maybe to pack food, not spend so much money on food on the road, ahead of time find your gyms. There's a lot to it, but you kind of got to go through the motions of just doing it a few times. And I think, you can learn it pretty quick.
Mhm. You mentioned, Heenan and Heyman and things. Have you gotten any words of advice from Paul Heyman, about being a manager and everything, besides just, studying tape and things like that from what you're doing?
You know, no, because of being in NXT, I haven't really. I mean, except for maybe once when he was here, he was so busy. We haven't even really got to be in the same building together where I've gotten to communicate with him. But I would love to. I would love to have the chance to speak to him and pick his brain and ask questions. That's something I'd love to do. But I do get a lot of feedback. At least I did, especially when I first started. From when Triple H was here and he was hands on with NXT, and then obviously Shawn Michaels now, and they've given me great advice and helped me with a lot of things. And they've even made some comparisons to me of being like a newer age Bobby the Brain Heenan. But you know, I think I could really, I could wrestle, I could get beat up, I could show a mean side if I have to, I could show a funny side. I'm cool with doing anything. I'm very easygoing, and I feel like I could check any box that you need for any role that you want to give me. So I feel like that's a big plus, and that's a thing. Uh, just with being around so long in my experience, I'm able to do that. And that's why also I feel like I'm a kind of a hand in the locker room, just because there's not many people in NXT that have as much experience as me. So for my age, the fact that I'm still in the locker room with people half my age, I could contribute a lot to help some of them out,
Yeah.
you know?
But having how is it having Regal there back again into the fold? Do you see him a lot or?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's there every week, but he is there a handful every few weeks. I do see him. Oh, I mean, it's great. If you're lucky enough to get pulled aside by him and give you feedback, and he's never in a rush, he'll take his time and talk to you and help nitpick every little thing in the best way possible to make you better. And and I don't wrestle matches regularly, so just listening to him help guys, it's just still great to just listen to, and I'm still learning.
How is it your relationship with Shawn Michaels, someone that you grew up idolizing? I mean, how would you say it kind of has grown over the years as you kind of have been that guy for him when it comes
I
to
think
being a
it's great.
veteran?
I think it's great. I mean, he knows my experience level and how long I've been doing it and what I'm capable of and what I bring to the table. And um, I just it, it's a business like relationship. I think he knows what I do and I do it. He asks me to do something, I go and do it. It doesn't have to be told to me twice. It doesn't, I don't afterwards need to ask a million questions. I think he trusts me enough to whatever he gives me, I'm going to go make the best that it could be.
Awesome. All right. Talk lastly, just talk a little bit about what you think fans can expect from this Von Wagner and Noam Dar match. And then moving forward when it comes to, his journey through WWE NXT. And we have Stand and Deliver after Vengeance Day coming up. We have WrestleMania season coming up. And then in your own future, if you want to keep adding on more clients or stick with one, give us a little idea into that.
Well, so this match Tuesday is huge for Vaughn. It really is his first, I'd say, real championship match. The Heritage Cup. It is considered a championship. It's a big deal. 6 rounds, 3-minute rounds. If you go the full time, 18 minutes. That's a long time. It's doesn't sound that long, but it is. But it's his first time to really shine. I think now with the people behind him, with the people behind us, I think everyone really wants to see him walk out of this match with that cup. I think you could already see the vision of him holding that cup with me next to him, my kids next to him. The people want it. I know I do. And so it's his biggest match ever. So I encourage everyone to tune in and cheer him on. And as for his future, I think from after this match, we do keep rolling and we do go on to a big match at, WrestleMania weekend. And we do go on to keep growing and growing and growing together. As for more clients, my eyes are always open. Myself and Vaughn's relationship is more beyond just a business relationship. We have become friends. I mean, it's basically like family now. So I am on the Von Wagner train to go to the top. So my mind hasn't really been thinking about working with other people, but it's always there. If the right thing presented itself, I'm willing to figure it out, perhaps. But right now, me and Von got something good going, and I want to stick rolling with that.
All right. I was gonna say Chelsea might need a little more help these days. We'll see.
Well, she does. She does need a. She's always talking about that manager. I don't know.
Yeah, I was
She
gonna
needs someone to
say.
help her out with things.
Thank you so much for fitting me in to your busy schedule as we head into NXT USA Network 8 p.m. It's Von Wagner versus Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup, and we're going to see what happens. So thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
All right.